What is that? What is the journey that you have lived to be number one in a sport in the world?
The secret is that you need to put in the work. You need to obviously sacrifice a lot. You need to sacrifice on family time. You need to sacrifice on regular, normal life. You need to be ready to put your body through pain over years and years. You need to be ready to almost punish your body in ways that, the body doesn't want to be, which is why we end up in injuries. You need to be able to understand that losses are going to be a part and parcel of your everyday. And but you need to also remember that I started playing tennis because I love to play tennis, and I think that's really the secret. The secret, if there is something, is probably just that you need to remember why you started. But there's no other secret to success, really. It's that secret is just to kind of keep going.
Would you say destiny or luck plays a role at all?
I think destiny does play a role. And eventually, we do believe that whatever is meant to happen is going to happen. But that doesn't mean we're just going to sit and be like, "Acha, theek hai, it's going to happen," right? Like, we're still going to have to work for it. And yeah, we have to put in the hours, we have to put in the work. I mean, if you felt a certain way, I can ask you the same question, and just by sitting there, you're not going to be who you are, or have brands come to you. It doesn't happen that way. You got to work your way towards it. And so the short answer is yes, destiny does play a role. Luck, especially in my job, luck plays a huge role.
Really?
It does play, because I think that being able to get the opportunity is one thing, but being able to perform at the opportunity given to you is another. And that's some luck there, right? Because you could have a bad day.
There.
Yeah, and or also you could have a bad day on that day, and maybe you're better than that day when you were playing, but that was the most important match that would probably make or break you. So you'll be lucky. You have to be a little lucky to be able to have your best day on the best opportunity given to you. Does that make sense?
Of course, absolutely. Was there ever a moment or a match where you felt like?
So I think for me, amazingly enough, so when I was, so it was 05, and there was a tournament in Hyderabad. It was a world ranking tournament, and that was my breakthrough year as well, 05. And this tournament was in February, and I had a wild card to this tournament. So I was not meant to play this tournament, but because it was in Hyderabad, and it was the highest level tournament that had ever happened in the country. So it was a WTA, and it was
what tournament?
So WTA, it's a world ranking tournament basically, but it's the higher of the world ranking tournaments basically. So it was the second time it was happening in the country. And there was me, and there was a couple more girls and from India who had wildcards. And so wildcard is basically, if your ranking isn't up there, you still get a chance to play that tournament. They happened to lose in the first round, and I happened to win the tournament. So for me, that's opportunity given, and then for me, that's opportunity taken. And to be very honest, I think a lot of my life changed because of that week. Because I won in Hyderabad, and I won such a big event in Hyderabad, and I wasn't meant to win at all, and happened at my hometown. Like, it was a fairy tale. Yeah, it was like an absolute, like if somebody had to write down a fairy tale. And that was an opportunity given, and it was an opportunity taken from me. Now, if something would have been up and down, maybe I would not have been able to win also, and maybe things would be different. So yeah, to answer the question, destiny does play a role. I mean, there's a saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
Of course. So it's not like you're going to just sit there and be like, I'm not going to work hard, and if I'm lucky, this is just going to happen. You still have to work hard.
Yeah.
And the harder you work, the luckier you're going to get.
I love that. I love that you said that you have to put in the work, but you have to keep putting in the work. It's not that one time you put in the work, right? So probably in your 10th year, you've worked harder on your body and on your game than you have even in the beginning. And does that, at some point, get strenuous? Does that get like...
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I wanted to wake up every single morning at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and go to the gym and play tennis for 7 hours a day. I mean, I really did.
So can you take us actually through the routine a bit? What is the routine of someone who's while you are actively still pursuing tennis? What was that routine like?
So the routine would be when I was in school. So I started playing tennis when I was 6 years old, and I used to play about 5 times a week at that point, which, but it was more like a hobby rather than something that I was pursuing. And I think by the time I was 12 is when I really knew and understood, obviously with the help of my parents, that this is what I wanted to do. And I would wake up in the morning around 5:36. My school started at 8 o'clock. I used to go, I had a fitness session. So I used to do fitness for an hour. I had permission to miss assembly, so I could reach 20 minutes later. And my school was amazing. Like for those times, a school really supported sport, and
And what school was this?
I was in Nassau school. It was an all girls school, and it was amazing actually, and that's why I think everything needs to come together in order for someone to succeed. It can't just be like bits and pieces, right? So everything needs to come together. And they were super, and they would give me permission to leave half an hour earlier so that I could make it to my practice at 3 o'clock, stuff like that. So I used to wake up in the morning, I used to have a fitness, and then because I could miss assembly, I used to go 20 minutes, half an hour later. I used to sit from 8:30 and the school was till 2 o'clock. I could leave at 1:30 because there was PE. So my mom would come with...
And you were doing enough of that.
I was doing enough of PE and sport. So I don't necessarily think that they cared too much about that, because I was the sports captain eventually anyway. And then I would leave at 1:30, and my mom would bring the food, and I would change in school, and I would sit in the auto and go with my mom to basically the other side. So we were in Hyderabad, we would go to Sikandrabad, and at that time there were no flyovers or anything. So we would go 45 minutes to an hour, and then we would be there from 3 to 7.
This was 5
playing.
times a week.
This was 5 times a week. But this was later when I was 12, 11, 12. And then as you, like you rightly said, as you get more and more into it and you get closer to becoming and wanting to, becoming professional, it gets harder and harder. After that, when I was 16, it was very similar. We used to spend about 7, 8 hours on the court and in the gym and everything together, because by that time there was no studying. You were done with your boards and you were done with your entire focus was just to sort of...
And who was with you while you were...
My parents, my mom and my dad. We are a small family of just me, Anam, my sister and my parents. And without them, nothing would have happened, right? Nothing, because they were the ones that recognized the talent. They were the ones that pushed me into it first. They were the ones who... And I think somewhere that's true for every person that is successful, that at some point in their lives, I shouldn't say every, but a lot of successful people, that at some point through their beginning of their lives, or this journey that they're on, it's the parents that really believe in them, right? Before anybody else.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure it was the same for you. I mean, it really is. At a time when cricket and nothing but crickets sold in this part of the world, my parents dared to see a dream and said that we have a young daughter from a family of 2 daughters who is going to play Wimbledon one day. And we came from a city of Hyderabad. At that time, it was a very small city.
Wow.
And they dared to dream first. And then they helped me dare to dream. So without them, I wouldn't be anywhere.
Was Wimbledon discussed before you got there? How many years before you got there was it, dinner table conversation?
It wasn't discussed with me though. It was discussed between the two of them. So when I was playing tennis and there was a final going on, and I think it was Steffi Graf and Conchita Martinez playing a Wimbledon final. And my dad said to my mom, what would you be ready to give to watch Sania play on this court one day? And my mom said, I'll give my life. I'd give everything. And she did. And that's why for me to play Wimbledon and win Wimbledon was more special than winning any other Grand Slam, because that was where the dream really began for my parents, and I was able to fulfill that for them.